Our program today is City Manager Scott Meyer, and for those who don't know Scott, Scott hails from Aurora, Missouri, over in the southwest part of the state, and he started his career as a civil engineer coming out of Rolla and spent about 22 years with MoDOT, about 4 years up with the university, and now has been with the city for about 4.5 years. I called Mayor Rediger to see if I could get Harry to introduce him. He said that he wasn't going to be able to attend, but he wanted me to brag on Scott for one thing, and that is that the city and the employees at the city have done a great job clearing the streets.
You're here.
Maybe we should say thank you, Mr. City Manager, for doing such a fine job with the streets. Let's give him a warm welcome.
I just heard the end of that, so I'm not really sure exactly what you applauded for or what the Mayor Rediger said, but I hope it was okay. They say never to pass out your handouts until the end, so I guess I'll do it right now. But basically today we're going to talk a little bit about 2013, kind of a look back, things that happened in 2013, look forward a little bit to 2014. We're accountable, so we try to let people know what we're doing. And so you'll have in front of you what some of the things we're bragging on and happy with, and some of the things we look forward to 14. And then next, if you invite me back a year from now, then you can bring the 14 back and say, how'd you do? And find out how we've done. But there are, I think, we are really fortunate to have a council and a mayor who really care about the community, who really want what's best for Cape Girardeau, and who really are committed to public service. And so I'm really fortunate in the fact that I have 7 bosses who care about the same things that I do, which is really making our city as a great place for people to provide opportunities to people, so that people and students and citizens and visitors all can be successful and happy and better themselves in life while they're here at Cape Girardeau. And that's what we're about. One of the things that the mayor has brought, and we brought kind of with our mission statement, is really a focus on the fact that we are a regional hub. We didn't create the fact that we're a regional hub. We are a regional hub. We're just recognizing the fact that we are a regional hub for all of southeast Missouri. And because of that really sets how we do our business. We take advantage of the fact that we're a regional hub, and that then sets how we have structured our taxes and how we take advantage of people that are coming here. We're about 38,000 people. We have about 50,000 people each day that visit our city. Well, by having a tax structure that collects sales tax from those folks, we are able to take advantage of that fact and use that as our basis. So it's really important, because that's the way we are structured, that we continue to enhance the fact that we are that, and continue to grow the fact that we are a regional hub. You can't just remain a regional hub by staying the same way you are, because there are other people that want that business. So when, for instance, Cape Splash, there were in the region there were these water parks starting to sprout up a little bit here and there. It was something that we need to be competitive of. The citizens passed a tax so that we can do that. So now that we have that as one of our amenities, and that continues to grow, and it brings people to town. We're looking to see what's the next step on that. So that's just one of the things. But really, in this whole cloud of things, what I want to remember is that we have really good people that want our city to be better and want us to grow that. And really it's about being a place of opportunity. We are not a city that we don't want to be a place where we attract people to do nothing. We want people to have opportunities to better themselves and better our community, and that's the kind of partnerships we're trying to build. So what did we do last year? Now that everybody's got their handout, I'll get mine out too. And we'll go through it together. I've gotten to where I don't do as many PowerPoints as I used to, and that was kind of a big thing for a while, but now that people, I think, are kind of get tired of them. So going back to handouts a little bit. But we have 5 objectives that the council has set for the city to give us focus moving forward. Let's talk a little bit about that. We have 12 what we call tangible results that we measure every month on actual tangible results. One of them is safety and security. We have economic development. We have these tangible results, and we have measures which we measure those, and then we look at how we're investing our money to either make those tangible results better or keep them where they are. Sometimes you have a result and you say, you know, we're where we want to be on that, so we don't want to spend additional money on that. But then we have some areas of emphasis. From those tangible results, the council and I have got together and we said, for the next few years, these are the 5 things that we really want to focus on, because we think that they're important. I think our citizens believe they're important. They're really important to continue to build on our mission of being this regional hub, okay? So the first thing is to improve safety and health of our citizens and our employees. One thing that we all know just inherently is if people aren't safe, nothing else matters. It doesn't really matter how good of a community you have, and what good the attractions are, what good the opportunities are for employment. If people don't feel safe, nothing else matters. So that's a cornerstone. What have we done in 2013? Well, we've added outdoor warning systems. You know, we saw what happened in Joplin. We've plugged some gaps that we have in our warning system. We've added 5 new outdoor warning systems, sirens. We've improved our emergency preparedness through training, through doing scenarios, and now that we're doing additional training, but also the warning sirens and our notification systems have improved our emergency preparedness. We've added 2 new school resource officers. We did that last year in cooperation with the schools. So that's 2 new policemen. We've retained 3 grant-funded firefighters. We were able to do that through our handling of our monies and our grants. We were able to retain those. It was a question on whether or not we could actually retain those with our existing finances. We were able to do that. We've decreased our healthcare costs, and we've done that through using wellness and some of the other ways of handling our costs for healthcare for our employees. That's important to keep the growth of our operating costs down, is to control healthcare costs, which I know all of you probably are dealing with in one form or another in your businesses or through the government if you are a part of Obamacare. We are not a part of Obamacare, by the way. We increased our alcohol enforcement efforts. Last year we really had a focus. We had seen through talking with the university, through talking through some of the hospitals, a great increase in alcohol poisoning and some things that have happened, and then some other enforcement issues that our police had that were outcries of some minors drinking. And so we actually put some money toward this and really increased our alcohol enforcement. That's going to carry on for a while because this is another of those things where the state used to take care of alcohol enforcement, licensing enforcement. When they cut back their budgets, they stopped doing that. They stopped doing that totally in our city. So this is something that we've had to pick up. We think we've made a lot of progress in that. We've had to sit down with some owners. I've suspended the license of several places, and we've got their attention. Now we've got to continue to follow through with that, but we're making good progress with that. Add leads online. I don't know if you've heard about this, but we added that last year. Leads online says to pawn shop owners and to scrap metal people that they're required to track when people come in and pawn things or sell things, and this then becomes a tracking device that we can use to enforce laws and to catch criminals. And it's proven itself over and over again to catch criminals and prosecute them and take care of them. It is a little bit of a burden to them, but a lot of them, as they began to look at it, have really said it was things they needed to do anyway for their reporting and their safety. Because see, if they buy something that's stolen and somebody else takes that, then they don't get that money back. So So they found that there's some good in that in their business practices for having it, and it has been valuable for us. Also, by being a participant, we also then are available to get the data in other communities. So if somebody steals something from our community and takes it to another city to pawn it, if they're on leads online as well, then we can actually solve some crimes, and we can solve some crimes by having that of our citizens who have lost things due to some stealing and thefts, which we had a rash of thefts for a while that took us a while to solve. Radio interoperability, 911 communications, new police stations are things that we're working on, and things that are critical to our safety as we move forward. And then safety of intersections. We improved the safety of 2 intersections, the roundabout at Lexington and Route W, and then Henderson and Broadway. Our second item is keeping fiscal discipline visible. We believe that our citizens expect us to be extremely fiscally disciplined, and we've done a very good job of that, especially in the last 5 years. But we haven't done a good job at showing people that we're doing a good job. And so we really have starting last year, began to make more of an issue of publishing our budgets and making sure people have access to them, and then highlighting when we do save money and where we are trying to cut back costs. So when we reduced sewer rates, we made a big deal of that. We made a big deal of dropping our sewer rates. We gone through and reduced our fleet size. We said our fleet costs keep going up. Well, that's partly because we keep growing the fleet. We need to come in and look at it and downsize our fleet. And so we did the first pass at that and downsized our fleet last year. I think there'll be some more of that coming. I talked about the medical plans being reasonable. We maintain our transparency. We put all of our budget, it's all online. If you want to take a look at it, you can see it. All of our allocations that are done are all done at council meetings. You can see those as well. We have a healthy fund balance. When I came, our fund balance was precarious. If we had just anything go wrong, we were in jeopardy of going into a negative balance. We've built that over the last 5 years to the point where we're now to the recommended level of fund balance, and that allows you, if you have a tornado hit your city, or it hits Walmart, which is one of the major taxpayers, you can get wiped out really quick. We now have a balance where we can take something like that happens and deal with it. When Joplin, that was one of their biggest things that happened. Besides that initial people getting killed, one of their biggest things they had was all of a sudden they also had no income. So they didn't have that built in. We do have in our charter emergency funds. And if we had a tornado, those would be able to be used and kicked in. But there's certain things that can happen that you really can't use because the charter limits that. Fund balance allows us to be that bridge. And so this is really important. And it's also one of the things, once you get it built up, then you don't have to build it again unless you use it. So it really helps us in that, and it took us a while to do, but we are there where we need to be. Our Parks and Rec department has developed all their measures so that all their programs look at payback, and so it's just a good management procedure. I can talk a long time about this, but this is really just more about being transparent. We talk to people about the fact that no, most of our Parks and Rec things are not 100% self-sufficient, but we're moving them closer and closer to being self-sufficient because that's just a good use of taxpayer money. Our budgets are balanced. Our emergency funds are fully funded. Enhancing our position in economic development. We saw hundreds of people that have been employed through some cooperative work that we've done, outstanding services. 2 new businesses, 2 big businesses coming. We had a lot of small businesses that have moved and moved in, but Academy Sports and CBS moved in last year. We are involved in entrepreneurial experiences through the university, and we begun our participation in the ICP6 growth study, which has long-term economic benefits and are really important. We also opened our new business park, and I think you'll see an announcement about that very soon. We're also putting in the infrastructure out there in order to let that expand and be a part of our growing base that we have to have. The fourth goal we have is to improve neighborhoods. This is an issue that is more of a long-term goal, but we're beginning to really get some traction on that. We changed our ordinances this last year to be more aggressive toward nuisances, a whole variety of nuisance issues, but we've seen the effect of those. We've protected both landlords and tenants with a residential rental licensing program that's been extremely successful and has been well received now. Girardeau Beautification Committee and our Clean Sweep program, I don't know if you've heard about that. We actually have targeted high volume roads that are high visible to visitors and to our citizens, and we're actually taking time and cleaning those areas and ridding them of trash and just any kind of nuisance that's there. We're on our right of way, we're taking care of it. We've had a lot of good response for that. Quality of life. We had a new dog park. We expanded our biking and hiking trails, and then our building stock. We had a lot of buildings when I got here built almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. We had buildings that were just dilapidated and fallen down, and I got to checking into it, and we had just taken really a lackadaisical attitude toward them of, well, you know, nothing we can do about it, and you know, we hate to make owners have that burden, but it's a public safety issue. People can get hurt in those buildings, kids can get hurt in those buildings, as well as there's health issues, and then it just makes the city look bad. So since I've been here, we've torn down over 100 buildings, and last year we got the Galleria torn down, the old bank corner of Main and Broadway, and then we've got some fixed. The Esquire, we actually got their marquee finally fixed, and the Wiggery building, we got that fixed back on the road. So we're really building our building stock to be a good building stock, and one that we can all be proud of. So that's something that we made a lot of progress with last year, and then we increased our available downtown parking. Our fifth goal was to streamline citizen-business interaction with the city. We've actually business licensing and things. We streamlined that and made that easier. We now have one fee for all businesses instead of like, I can't remember, we had like 12, we had 450 different categories of businesses that had different fees on different ones. Horrible. So we get to one fee. We still have the one flat fee, but then we also still do have the gross receipts tax. So I guess it's really two fees if you want to count those two. We streamlined that process. We've had a director of citizen services to coordinate citizen interaction and citizen services, and we're going to be opening up our services to multi-venues. We hope to, over the next year, be to the point where we can take your water bill at Arena or Shawnee, wherever, because we've actually gone in and we have bought a new software package that will allow us to do that now. We had an antiquated software, and our computer services were terribly antiquated when I got here, so we're about to catch up with that. And we are also going to provide, we put ourselves in a better position to provide our services that we do provide. The last few years, we've done automated trash. That gives us enough capacity for the city to grow to the extent of our annexation plan that we have. Water service and now our wastewater service too, we'll be able to provide that. One caveat I have to that is our transfer station that we have for our trash does need to be rebuilt. We're going to have to figure that out. We're trying to figure that out right now in a way of doing it without any kind of increase. We had to take that. We had to take on the chin on the wastewater treatment plant, so we don't want to see that when we do the transfer station. And I think we've got a way to do that. Watch this store for 2014. I'm just going to let you see that. It's a lot of some of the same things, but this gives you an idea. But certainly, I'm not going to sit here and read it to you when you can read it yourself. I think what I'm going to do now is open it up for questions and let you ask me what you want to hear about instead of what I want to tell you. Yes?
Does the casino revenue still look like a pretty steady, reliable source of increased revenue?
You know, it is steady and reliable. I will tell you that the talk of numbers were anywhere from, oh, it's going to be millions and millions of dollars to it's not going to be very much. Starting out, we took a very, I would say, a conservative approach to it, and the first partial year we were almost right on. Our number now this year, I will have to tell you, is it's a little down from what we had predicted not a lot, you know, maybe 6-8%. But we don't really know for sure how that's going to go. We do think that the new management they've now brought in will kind of probably pick it up and be about where we think it's going to be, what our predictions have been. But it's been pretty steady, right about that level. But like I said, we had some people that thought it was going to be a lot more, and they weren't right. But our predictions have been pretty straight on. Great question. Yes?
Hotel motel tax or restaurant
Yes.
motel tax. It's good to see that you're on good terms with the ghost of Jim Drury.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I'm curious now. I was trying to read in the paper, what is the plan and the agreement that's just been agreed to? How they're going to spend that money?
Great question. The agreement specifies that a committee will be put together, and the committee is going to look at five different options, and they are building a convention center with money, building like an indoor sports facility where you can play indoor soccer or whatever, and then a combination of the two, and then a agricultural expo, then an arena park, making like an agricultural expo there would be another idea. Then doing something with our swimming pool, either a new facility or putting a permanent cover over the existing one. And so looking at all those five things, we're going to hire a consultant, and they're going to look at the payback for all those things. And then that committee, the committee is going to be 3 jury-appointed folks and 3 city-appointed folks. They'll come together and they will make a recommendation to the council as to what they think should come out of those 6 things and how that money should be spent. And then if the council agrees with that, then that's what that money would be spent on for the restaurant tax. If they don't agree, then basically if they can't come to an agreement, then it just goes, the tax ends, and then if we wanted to do that, we would have to come back to the voters. So those are the 5 things that are going to be looked at. Those are the limits. There is a caveat in the agreement, I believe it's number 7, paragraph number 7, says that if a Major League Baseball team comes and says, we want to put a team here, that a committee we put together to look at that as a possibility. Now then, if that happens before those other 6 or those other 5 are decided, then probably it would get thrown into that mix. If it's after that's decided, you know, and then we have something else going on, then they would look at that, and probably have to look at other revenues to see about that. But it does open the door for that, but it kind of puts it on when that would happen. So that's what's being looked at. Everything, because we're involved as a government agency, all the meetings will be open. We'll have agendas, and you can come to those committee meetings and say what they think.
Just to follow up, Scott, but were the Show Me Center bonds, were they paid off early?
The River Campus bonds, they're going to be paid off in the next few months, and they were paid off earlier than they originally had thought. I don't think anybody ever thought that they would be paid off prior to 2030. The tax was authorized through 2030, and I think even the longest of predictions I ever saw were that to pay off the bonds would take till 2020. So I think everybody always knew that it would be paid off early, but it was just kind of what to do after that. So, good question. Yes.
Is the solar panel project dead, or are you still continuing to evaluate that?
Dead or alive? As it was proposed, it's dead because it didn't pay. And kind of let you look into our eyes a little bit. A company came to us and said, "Look, here's a proposal what we can do." And it said, you know, with the tax incentives, you let us take the tax incentives, and then we'll put up these solar panels, and then here's how much you'll save on electricity, and then you pay us this much money, and wow, look, you save more money in what you save on electricity than what your payments are. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Solar energy, we help the environment, we You know, all these things happen, but the most important thing to me as city manager was we were going to save money. Then was always, so you know, we can't just say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. We have to bid things out because we want, there's other businesses in town, we want to give them the same shot, right? That's only fair. So we did that. So we got 3 proposals. All the 3 proposals, when you get through them, it cost us more money. So I didn't want to spend your taxpayer money to pay more for electricity. That didn't make sense to me. So until somebody can save, not me, you, taxpayers' money, I'm probably not going to be interested. But if the opportunity exists, and then, I mean, you also have to look at that philosophically here. I mean, as taxpayers, you're also funding the tax credits that are being given. So there's that as well. But at least to even play the game, I've got to get to where the citizens in my city save money. Yeah.
2 questions. Business park,
Yes.
what activity is up there? Not that you're going to let any cats out of the bag, but how much opportunity do we have, and how much have we been able to secure at this point in time as far as the property, and then where we sit on I-66? Give us a little background.
Good. 2 questions. First one's on the business park. We think just any day now we're going to announce, you know, if you followed it, you probably read in the paper, you know, that there is a soft drink distributor who I think also does other vending, who's looking to locate there, and we've applied for CDBG grants. We've got the grants. The water is there, the sewer's almost there. We've, you know, Ameren has stepped up. They're bringing that there. So, you know, I think you'll see it starting to that project starting to be built this spring, and we'll probably have a more formal announcement in the next month or so, if not sooner. And that takes, you know, it's a small piece of the entire park. We have 285 acres, I think, up there or something like that, and you know, this is like 15, 20 acres. So that's that. You know, we still have a lot. We think the distributorship business is one that makes sense for that location. So of course we're putting that out there with that. But we also think there's some opportunities for maybe some retail out there at some point. Probably not right away because there's just not a base out there for them. But we're trying to at least plan for that we would save that, because retail again is important to us. Why? Because we're the regional hub and we're dependent upon sales tax to do the services that we do for the city. So we're cautious of that. And then we think there's also a good chance for some business park type of also office space, maybe a research space. When I worked for the university, we actually had talked to some research people about some space out there, and maybe if the economy heats up a little bit, that might come back to fruition. So that's where that is. We are still talking to, I had 2 meetings about new businesses last week about the business park. So there's still quite a bit, there's a lot of activity that continues to be, and I think we'll see that build. It won't build out in 10 years. You know, it'll probably be a 20-year build out, but 20 years, that'd be a good thing. I-66 is important to us. Why are we so, why is that important to us? It's important to us because an east-west highway that goes from Cape Girardeau east, especially to I-57 and then to Paducah, opens up a tremendous amount of again, distribution business and manufacturing business. Manufacturers like to be in this part of the country because we're in the middle of the country. But if they can save a lot of mileage because they can cut through and catch 57 and go to up toward Chicago and that, or they can go down south and catch on I-66 and go through the East Coast that way, or to the south, that really changes the dynamics of what we have here. You know, I've had discussions with current manufacturers that currently manufacture and put things all throughout the Midwest and to the East especially. And when you talk to them about this, you cannot believe the amount of money this saves them. And so that's true for any business that has the same type of product and the same type of distribution hub. And so we think that's the reason it's really, really important. You know, is it nice because we can drive to Paducah and shop? Yeah, that's nice, but I'd really like you to stay here and shop. But it also, Paducah people can come here and shop, but that's a small part of it. It's really that big changing thing for our ability to attract those type of manufacturing. So it's a pretty big picture, but it's something we have to work on. And it's progressing. And the study has started. I'm actually a part of the study group, and I think probably the next 18 months that study will finish. And you have to have that study before you can build 1 foot of that roadway. And even the study doesn't guarantee that. So, does that answer the questions? What else?
How about the William Street corridor response on the idea of changing that?
Well, I think we heard the idea sucks. And let me tell you, I think I kind of poke fun at us there, and true, but I think that this is the reason that this is important. Is it's a new day. We aren't going to just get together in a corner and decide what the projects are going to be, and then tell you what they're going to be and try to shove them down your throat. We're going to have these kind of things. And some of the times when we have these kind of things, an idea that the city might think is a good idea, or the comprehensive plan is kind of where this thing originally originated, thought this was a good idea. But when we put practical application to it and said, here's some of the costs, our citizens thought it was a bad idea. So, I mean, hopefully we're smart enough to say, dumb idea, we're not going to do it. So, yeah, we're still looking at the data and stuff, but I think for the most part, it's a thing that's a non-starter. We may look at it and say, can we increase the pedestrian sidewalks, make them a little better in a few places? Can we make it look a little better? Yeah, but we're not going to spend $6 million on one. Whether it's 4 lanes, 10 lanes, or 2 lanes, doesn't matter. I don't think citizens want us to do that now. We learned that. So that's the reason it's a new day, and that's the reason we have to really spend our time talking to citizens about what we need to do.
Was the idea of the Wi-Fi hotspots for the city just voted down? Did that not go anywhere?
The CVB committee had at one time talked about Wi-Fi spots as one of the things to do for with the potential restaurant tax. Yeah, it didn't get the traction. That's it. I don't think that means that the idea is bad. I think it means that they didn't necessarily want to use that mode of paying for it. That wasn't enough to really hold its own as a major project. But I think it probably does have a place, maybe in casino funding or other places. I don't think the idea has been voted down as a bad or been labeled a bad project. Just it didn't really fit for sure there. But I do think. Look at casino and some other funding streams, it probably does have a place. Just kind of when and where.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.